All right. When we see someone really successful, a lot of times we just see them as the finished product, whether that's their services, product, or persona. But everyone starts small. Like my man Drake says, starting from the bottom, now we hear. But how do you start at the bottom, right? Like, how do you find your next sustainable new idea and new income? Well, to help us with that is our next presenter, Olivia Wong, a senior partner at Prototype Thinking Labs. And it's a business design and innovation lab focused on solving new business models 10 times faster. Using a unique approach born at Google X, Olivia teaches entrepreneurs how to confidently run experiments and build new solutions with a fraction of the effort, cost, and time. Who doesn't want that, right? So she's worked with hundreds of companies like L'Oreal and Lululemon, and here to share with us some of her baller insights, please give a warm digital welcome to Olivia Wong.
Thank you so much, Nikhil. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm so excited to teach you the distilled version of prototype thinking, which is the methodology that we teach. It was developed at Google X. And yeah, can we just kick off and get to it? Awesome. Okay, so everyone watching out there, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to share with you the techniques that we've developed over the last 4 years, and we've really refined them for small businesses during COVID-19. So let me just get straight to it. I previously have been teaching in person. I love teaching people live. I've spoken on a lot of stages, worked in a lot of conference rooms. Today, we're going to do this digitally. So it's not always my favorite to do slides, but here we are. Let's get into it. I'm going to show you a couple of slides. I'm going to walk you through the process to help you basically come up with an idea, test and validate in a number of minutes. I'm going to show you this really quick technique, and then we'll give you examples of how people are doing this in the real world very well. So let's just get straight into it. I'm going to share my screen. If you have any issues seeing the screen, let me know. I know chat is being monitored, so Nikhil and the moderators will let me know. Sounds good. So it looks like the screen is fair. All right, so like Nikhil said, my name's Olivia. Other things to know about me, shoot me a message at Prototype Thinking Labs. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and I'd just love to stay in touch with you because I'm not there with you right now, but let's keep the conversation going and continue to build the community after this event. So just make sure you reach out to me because I'd love to meet you. Okay, so you are here because you want to build a new income stream. Why? We all want to make money in a fast and rapid way, especially because a lot of people have been laid off during this time. Businesses have shut down. Industries like mine have completely tanked. They've been disrupted. So what do? The very first thing is when we're thinking about an income stream, we have to think about what the purpose of the income stream is. Like, what is it going to do for us as individuals? So let me just give you a high-level overview of where we are. This is not new information, but I'm going to show you new information in just a quick second. So the first thing to know about building a new income stream during this time is that right now we're going through a very interesting period. This is an unprecedented moment in modern history, and we are experiencing social distancing. I'm in Canada, so I'm right now, we're in Vancouver, we're experiencing businesses reopening. So there's been restaurants and barbershops and salons and all these other different retailers opening up. If you're in the States, that might be slightly different, especially if you're in the West Coast. I was born in San Francisco, I'm from the Bay Area, and I know you're in shelter in place. But what we're seeing is over the next 1 to 3 months, more businesses will be reopening. And you will start to see partial social distancing. And then over the next 3 to 18 months, possibly even longer than that, we're going to see the effects of COVID and quarantine continue to span out. And so what this really means is our income stream has to do a couple of things. One, it has to be really easy for us to implement, and it has to give us the ability to experiment. It's not good enough to come up with an idea only to launch it 6 months later to get your results from your testing a year later. That might have worked before COVID-19, but we really need to be more adaptable. The next thing is we really want our income stream to provide fast income, and it has to be relevant to life in quarantine. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't really enjoyed being targeted for Peloton ads right now. It's just not really relevant to me. What we want you to do is we want you to think about what are the trends that are happening right now with COVID? How can you fit into people's lives realistically so you're part of their new narrative as this crisis continues to evolve? So instead of being, the Pelotons of the world, the sort of the product and the service that isn't really relevant, that's kind of tone deaf, that's not sensitive to where people are financially, let's be toilet paper. Let's be banana bread making machines. Let us be PPE. Let us be the products and services, the types of businesses that are really understanding what the demand is and what the desire is in the market. And then lastly, over the next 3 to 18 months, we really want to be building sustainable income, something that can scale, something that can expand, and that's also going to help us build stronger customer relationships. Because I will tell you, the number one thing that is going to survive this pandemic are your relationships. I saw this survey a couple of weeks ago, and it asked people all across the world what your favorite thing was, that you did last week. And if you saw the survey results, you'd be kind of shocked because there was no common denominator between any of the answers. So people said, oh, I loved doing this thing. I was on this Zoom meeting. I got to meet my friends. The only common denominator was that people did that event with people that they, one, knew before the pandemic, and two, they trusted. And so the relationships that you're building now, think of them as wartime relationships. These are the relationships that are going to supersede anything else. And so we really want to focus on building those customer relationships. I'm going to talk to you how to do that. So lastly, I never like to leave any talk or presentation without giving you homework, because otherwise it's just abstract theory. And at Prototype Thinking Labs, we really believe in doing as the best form of thinking. So it's not good enough just to say, hey, here are some tips. This is what you actually have to do. So I'm going to show you right now. Your action items, if you do want to launch an income stream, is to launch immediately. It's to launch now. It's also to push communication. And what I mean by that is you want to start to get into the conversation with your customers or your target customers. So be active on social media. Share your thoughts, share your opinions, ask questions, poll your customers, create Facebook groups so you can invite your customers to be part of a larger conversation that is more meaningful than just purchasing the product or service. The other action item that I want you to focus on is to deliver and scale while others are still in response mode. So I just want to call out Kevin Felix Chan because he did a phenomenal job of this over the last 2 months. So he was a person who, like many other cultural leaders, got ahead of the conversation by talking to their customers early on. And what that allowed him to do is get fast feedback and pivot multiple times. And then the last thing is your action item is to keep delivering and keep evolving with the crisis. I have taught this particular slide deck over 22 times to over 400 people in the last 2 months. And the very first time I taught this was drastically different than today. Every single time I taught it, I asked for feedback. I asked for people to drop their favorite quotes, their least favorite moments, everything that worked, everything that didn't, what failed, all of that feedback into chat. And then I used that feedback to iterate and improve the presentation. So where it started was like at 0, and now we're at 100, where I'm pretty sure that if you go through this process and you pay attention to the slides, you will actually make some money. Okay, so let me keep moving on because we've got a lot to cover in just the next 10 minutes. So let's keep going. So what this all means is 1, launch now. If you're selling to consumer, launch within 3 days. And if you're in B2B, launch within a week. That's just because B2B is a little bit slower. Next, stay relevant and stay top of mind. Be vocal, be active. Don't be those people who just go on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or TikTok and just watch everything and sit on the sidelines and stay quiet. This is when you want to be in front of people because you need to start building trust and rapport. The next thing is take mediocre guesses. If you don't listen to anything else in this presentation, the only thing I want you to walk away with is to take a mediocre guess. And that means taking a guess even if you're not sure. Take a 20% confidence guess. Take a 30% confidence guess, because the people who are going to get ahead right now are those who are using their intuition and are not afraid to take action. Everyone else is going to be hanging back and they're going to be lost. And the last thing is you'll want to relaunch. So make sure that if you put something out there in the world and it doesn't work, like crickets, no one responded, no one said, hey, I want to buy your thing, that's okay. Ask for feedback, take that feedback, and then relaunch it again. If you relaunch about 5 times, meaning you're making those iterations, you're adjusting based on what people are saying, you're going to get to the point where you'll have enough confidence to know what design of the product or service is going to be the winning design to make sure that you have the money that you need to be sustainable and grow that business. And then lastly, a great rule of thumb is only spend the amount of effort that you have in confidence. So if I was 20% confident about the first version of this presentation deck, I would only spend about 40, maybe 30 minutes building it out. Don't spend 2 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours perfecting the very first design. And the reason why is because I could have spent 6 hours building the same deck, but I would have fallen on my face and wasted those 6 hours and learned the exact same amount. So just keep pushing and make sure if you are not that confident in an idea, just put it out there, make it quick, make it dirty. You've probably heard of the term MVP, minimum viable product. Well, we actually teach unviable MVPs. They're even faster, more clunky versions. But what that does is it allows us to move quickly and get in front of people, which is the most important part about launching a business, is getting that feedback and iterating on it. Lastly, if you've done all those steps, then you want to seek understanding. So make sure you're getting feedback in the matter of minutes or hours and experimenting in days. Once you have all of those steps laid out, and I know if I'm talking fast, you can just go back and watch this later, then what you want to do is be adaptable. So use tools that are fast. This is not a time to be struggling with WordPress and Stripe. Ask people to send you money on PayPal. Ask people to send it on Venmo. Be quick. Use a website builder called Strikingly to build a website in 60 minutes. You don't need to hire a developer at this point. The most important thing that you're trying to do is trying to validate the idea. Okay, so let me quickly show you some examples of people who've done this really well right now. So I'm going to zoom in because I know it's kind of hard to see. This is an example of someone who had an idea to sell bubble tea by mail. So they came up with this idea. They're like, you know what? My store shut down. Why don't I send bubble tea kits? Cost $5. If you buy it with friends, it's even faster or cheaper. The shipping would be the same. So here's an example of someone who just tested an idea. It took her maybe 4 minutes to do this, and she can get results back and answers back and maybe even build a waiting list of pre-orders. Here's another example. We have a friend who's in San Francisco, and she used to do high-end private tours with Michelin-rated chefs, like really fancy chefs. You go to their restaurant, they show you the entire back kitchen, they talk about the philosophy of their food, and then they make you this elaborate, delicious meal, and you get wined and dined. So cool. Well, her business right now is shut down. There are no tours. So what she did is she came up with this idea to do a chefinar, which is to ask these high-end, popular, famous chefs to teach someone at home how to cook the same meal. All she has to do is send a box of ingredients to her customer, a box of ingredients to the chef. It's the same business. But she made this very pretty PDF in a fast, adaptable tool like Canva, which helps you be your own graphic designer. Maybe this took like 20 more minutes, but honestly, it was fast, it was quick. She put this out to her customers on her email list, and she already got signups. Okay, I want to share with you one more set of examples, just so that you have more ideas of how this could actually work in real life. Give me 1 second and I'll show you a couple of ideas. All right, so one of our friends, his name is Thomas Liu, actually created the boba kit. Like, look at this here. The first round, he sold out. Then he had to go back to production and make more. So this is all deconstructed. He built this site within the last couple of weeks, and he's been doing really great, and it's helped him pivot his business. Let me give you another example. So this is an example that I saw on the group Asian Hustle Network. This person wrote a post about his mom, and his mom is an elderly woman in the Bay Area, and she loved to make dumplings, and she wasn't able to do that anymore. And so what he ended up doing is helping her create a new income stream, and he's selling these dumplings literally on Instagram stories. Like, look at this menu, it is amazing. I've seen dozens of people like shoot up Mama Fang for her dumplings, and It's not a perfect Instagram. There's not this like beautiful feed, but you know what it does? It does the job well. So he did the exact same thing. It took maybe 2 minutes. Asked people, would you like this? Would you like to support my mom who's out of income right now? She's out of work. And honestly, if I was still in the Bay Area, I would be ordering these nonstop. I'm going to show you one last example, and then we're going to close out and turn this over to Q&A. But I want to show you an example of something I did. So I created another sort of side hustle, and I wrote this long post. Obviously, don't do this. It's a wall of text. But basically, I was like, hey, I've been running these workshops. I've noticed that women have had a really hard time pricing themselves and asking for money. So I'm going to teach you guys how to do that. So obviously, because it was an Asian Hustle Network, we got a lot of responses. There were 220 people who liked it, 282 comments. What that led me to do is I created a webinar. And I created a little website. This took me about 30 minutes. It's called Creating a New Money Mindset. And basically, I teach women how to ask for money and actually unpack some of the trauma that they might have had from growing up in an immigrant family. So this was really targeted towards women of color. So what ended up happening is I went through 5 different relaunches, and then I realized that what people actually wanted was an investing club. And so what I'm going to show you next is a tool that you can use to get feedback quickly. I've already launched the Investing Club. It's going to start on June 5th. But what you can do is you can use Google Docs to basically create that same outline. So you have your name, your project, your description of what that idea is. You could write your price. This particular club is for free. And then we would ask the audience, what's that number one question you would like to know from your customers? And what you can do is you can use Google Docs like this and then ask a couple people for feedback and have them type in the inline comments. So this is an example of people who've already done this. So Emily had an idea for a workshop. It was called Refocus Your Startup Marketing. So she filled this out, and then she had people give her feedback. And what they can do is they can highlight one word of the sentence and then give you inline comments. And so imagine if you had maybe 5 or 10 or 15 or maybe even 30 or 40 people give you feedback. You're going to have all of these amazing comments with lots of great data, and then you can go back and refine the idea. And by the time you do that and you launch it, you're going to put something out in the market that's going to be much more successful and more likely to succeed. So there it was. Whoa, that was so fast. That was the presentation, guys. 25 minutes has flown by. I'm going to pause now because my time is up, but I'd love to open the conversation up to questions. So I'm going to be here to answer any questions.
Olivia, that was awesome. Seriously, that was great. You went through a lot of content. There's so much to unpack, but I think we have time for maybe one or two questions.
Sure.
Let me ask you this one thing, right? I think a lot of us, especially when we're building our business and we've had it for such a long time, this idea of kind of starting something new is really scary, right? And so in your opinion, what is one of the things people can do to get around this fear of starting from scratch, right? I think that's like a big part of why we don't just jump in and try like you're doing it right now.
Yeah. So something to know is people are the most forgiving they will ever be right now. So if you fuck it up, it's okay. People want to see you succeed. I want to see Mama Fang succeed. I don't care if there's issues with the delivery process, if they're not posting frequently, just go for it. And the next thing is keep the bar of your expectation very low at the moment. You don't need to be thinking about, do I need to incorporate this business? What's the branding strategy? Who are my co-founders? Like, what are our revenue projections? Like, throw that out. Just focus on, hey, what's the core concept? And then can I quickly test it in 5 minutes by asking people, posting it on social media? And honestly, I've done that process of posting on social media almost every other day. I have like 10 billion ideas, and everyone knows that like half of them will not start.
Yep.
And that's okay. So we just have to get past our fear of being perfect and put something out there where you're like 20 to 30% confident.
Yeah, it's so easy and simple when you say it like that, but I think it's like as an Asian, there's that fear of failure stigma in the community, right? Like putting something out and then everyone's like, oh God, like how do you do you feel that sense of shame, or did you ever have to get over that feeling at any point?
100%. It is a learned muscle. And the best way to learn this muscle is to do it with other people who do it very well. because then you start to see, oh, that's just normal behavior. Oh, Olivia's posting this shit all the time. Like, go follow me on Facebook and Instagram. That's why I want you to follow me, because you're going to see how often I'm asking and polling and questioning people. I ask people, would you want me to create a babysitting camp? Like, I don't even teach kids anymore like I used to.
Right.
I wanted to see, like, is that something that's very useful right now? And so you just have to stay in the mode and the mental mentality of experimenting. Your only job right now is to seek information. It is not to be right.
Ooh, that's amazing. I love that. It's super practical, really creative tips and tangible examples. Where can we learn more? Where should people follow you? What's your user handles?
At Prototype Thinking Labs. That sounds a lot like a mouthful. You can also follow me personally at Olivia Wong. Find me on Facebook. I'm really friendly. You guys can, chat, ask questions. If this is hard for you, don't feel bad. I know it's stressful. Just start trying to practice, because once you do it, it's like riding a bike. You'll never be able to get off.
That's right. That's amazing. That you heard it here, people. There's no excuse. Don't procrastinate. Don't prevaricate. Like Olivia says, start building your dreams now, crisis or not. All right. So don't go anywhere. We have a lot more deeply insightful and inspirational stories on how small businesses are reinventing themselves amidst this pandemic, especially in the food and beverage industry. So coming up, we have presentations and talk from leaders at Seven Leaves, McDonald's, DK Donuts, Boba Guys, and much, much more. So I'm Nikhil Paul. This is Olivia Wong. And we're so happy to be here. We have a lot more to come, so don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon.